Today, we throw 4 different urethane bowling balls, 5 shots per ball on house shot and sports shot, collect all the Specto data so that way you know the perception versus the reality on your 4 most popular urethane products, which ones you should use and look at and why. You're probably thinking, what are those numbers over there and what am I supposed to do with them? Well, it's just a little bit of sample data from Specto that I want to give to you after each ball and each pattern so you can kind of analyze the results as we go. At the very end of this video, we'll dive deep into even more data and I will give you my takeaways and the takeaways you should take between all these 4 bowling balls on the 2 different patterns. But so you understand it, total boards of hook is pretty self-explanatory, the total amount of boards of hook. The angle section, you have launch angle, which is going to be the angle in the front part of the lane. Since Derek is lefty, it is a negative number, which means the bigger the negative number, the more angle he's creating in the front part of the lane. Then you have impact angle, which is basically the angle the bowling ball is creating down lane. And then you have speed loss in the fronts, mids, and back part of the lane. Basically, this is really going to tell you where the ball is slowing down the most and it's going to impact shape. If it slows down a lot more in the front part of the lane, you're going to see a smoother ball. If it slows quite a bit in the back part of the lane, you're going to see a quicker shape down lane.
We'll see how this one compares. So I'll start in the same spot like I typically do. This hasn't been down the lane in a while, so I have a feeling this is definitely going to the right of the head pin. Yeah. So obviously Brunswick's goal was to mimic this ball with the blue one. So you guys can see I'm pretty close. This one's just a smidge sooner, but I mean, not really a huge difference in overall performance. There's one that kind of loops it. It's just slower to respond in comparison to the blue, but their goal is to make it really close, and I think they accomplished that. So. I have no idea where to stand. I'm gonna go back pretty close to where I was with the new blue and kind of play it from there.
So far, first 3 shots.
Really early, but really close to a pitch black.
So we have not thrown a single shot on this, so we're going to kind of go through the same process, getting lined up on sport. Knowing it's 39 feet, I'm going to try and stand a little further left, just play a little closer.
All right, here we go. Derek is getting started. Winding road sport pattern, starting off with the new blue with Specto data.
All right. So very quickly, we are seeing we need to move left. Already ready to get into the urethane ones that just read sooner. I can tell my ball's just getting too far down the lane immediately.
Yep.
That's pretty good. All right. IQ 78 time. We'll start in the same spot. 150
So
feet.
So Derek, already second shot in, big move compared to the house shot. So would you say on sport pattern you're seeing a bigger difference between the IQ 78 and the new blue?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Much sooner, but keeps everything to really drive through the pins much better into having to open up the lane and just making the pattern much flatter than it needs to be because I needed to open up my angles.
Right, right.
The new blue just made this pattern look way harder than it actually is.
Sport pattern. Now we are going to compare to the purple hammer.
Wow. That is so much stronger.
That was even softer, so this would be a USB-C.
Like that. Yeah. So the final number is about 6 further right.
Okay.
With the Brunswick purple hammer in comparison to the IQ. Still just as early, but doesn't just roll forward like the IQ does. This one just continues to shape. Good one. Yeah. So far out of the 3, if I were to pick one to throw on this, it would definitely be the purple. That is where I ended with the purple.
Okay.
And instantly I'm going to make a 2 left.
Got it. So even though that made it back to the pocket, you're not going to stay there.
No way. I almost 5-pinned.
Got it. And do you think, real quick, for people who don't have as much experience, and I would say there's an acquired eye and acquired skill that comes with urethane, getting lined up with urethane. So if you got back to the pocket that way and almost 5-pinned with reactive, would you make a different adjustment with reactive than you would with urethane?
Probably just not as severe with a reactive ball in comparison to a urethane ball. Urethane balls obviously are much more forward, much slower. I feel like my moves need to be a little bit bigger in comparison to reactive, much smaller moves because the balls are so strong.
Got it. Perfect. So watching the data, you go with the lay down point.
Yeah, really close. Really close to the IQ. IQ is just a little sooner, just because it's got so much fresh surface buried into it and a bigger core.
Yeah. So according to the Specto data, who is the king of urethane? Well, you might be surprised. Let's dive into the data. Now, while you only got to see 5 shots from Derek, he actually threw 10 shots with every bowling ball on both patterns. The first thing we have to do is put the new blue in a completely different category of its own. It's not urethane. And you might be thinking, well, yes, Greg, that's why they call it not urethane. Well, they also market it as very, very close to the purple hammer. And you can't really be really close to the purple hammer and not urethane at the same time, and this Specto data clearly proves that. This ball has all of the numbers, higher impact angle, more speed loss in the back part of the lane, more change of direction in the back part of the lane. That is very characteristic of reactive resin bowling balls. And you can see that this ball changed directions a lot more in the back part of the lane because it slows more in the back part of the lane because it is not as responsive to oil and is more responsive to dry, quite like reactive resin. So while on a house shot, it might be kind of close to a purple hammer, it's not remotely close to a purple hammer at all once they start to get hard, which we really believe is the most common scenario that you're looking to try to use urethane. And we can really continue to look at those same characteristics. How much does the ball slow down in the back part of the lane, which ends up creating change of direction in the back part of the lane and impact angle in the back part of the lane, and which often ends up also requiring bigger launch angles to compensate for. We can look at that across all of the bowling balls and also start to see a trend within the urethane group, which is that the purple hammer slows down the most in the back part of the lane, creates the most change of direction in the back part of the lane, and ends up requiring bigger launch angles to throw. Does this mean the purple hammer is better? Well, I would say most players, if you can create more shape, you're going to create more entry angle and better pin carry. It's also going to allow you to get further inside of your competition, which is going to typically minimize transition. But the issue is the purple hammer is not legal in the PBA Tour. So can it be king of the urethane when you can't throw it at the most elite level? I don't know. You let us know down in the comments. I would say based on this data, the new blue is going to be king of the house shot, purple hammer is going to be king of the sport pattern when it's not PBA, and the IQ Tour 78 will probably be king of the PBA. We'll see at the end of 2024 season, but I'm placing a bet that we'll see the IQ Tour 78 on far more telecasts than we will see the new blue. Now the next question is, will the player reflect the Specto data? Let's see what Derek says. Right after bowling, he didn't have access to any of this information. Let's see what he thinks.
Yeah, so I think we're really looking at three completely different pieces here between, I'll use the three that are the main ones here, the new blue, the purple, and now the IQ 78. I think they're three completely different bowling balls and have three completely different purposes, which is good. For me, the new blue is much longer down the lane, shapes a lot more, going to be much more useful once the pattern blends in comparison to bowling on the fresh when you really got to keep your angles pretty square and just really control the front part of the lane. That's where the purple comes in if you need to shape it, but still control the lane. The purple's like that perfect piece just because it's so early. It's just kind of the one that everyone leans on because it still shapes, but it's early. And then there's the IQ 78. For me, about an arrow weaker, much closer to a really old pitch black, or if you guys have thrown black hammers, much closer to a black hammer, to where they're really forward, they stand up on themselves and really don't shape much, is what I see out of the thing so far. It's going to be much more useful when they're really challenging, need to keep angles straight, and just want to get 9 a lot, because it's going to keep you out of trouble. It is just really, really smooth in comparison to the purple, where you simply can't do the same thing. For me, right now, I see two completely different balls. I think it'll be a direct replacement for like a black hammer for me. Black hammer will most likely come out of my bag, being replaced by this, which will be the weakest urethane piece that I keep in my arsenal, which makes sense. A higher hardness, it's not going to hook as much.
Okay, Derek, so you're bowling in a PBA competition. You can't throw the purple, you can't throw the pitch black, and they're very hard. Are you going new blue or IQ 78?
IQ 78. Much more controllable. Like I said, control the lane, get 9, hammer surface into the thing if you need to try and get a little more out of it. But just control the lane. There's the new blue simply does not. You're just going to have to hook it more. No matter what you do on it, I don't even think layout really makes a difference, just because it's simply not urethane. It's just going to hook more, at least an arrow more for me. Just situational pieces. Once they blend, the new blue will be that perfect kind of throw it to it, but when you really need to square up and just control the lane, the IQ is the one I'm going to lean on for sure. There's no doubt about that. In the 2024 for the PBA side, it's going to be the IQ. Okay. As far as similarity, they are not similar at all. We're talking two very different things in comparison to house and bowling on sport. Okay. The new blue, much further down the lane when we started bowling on sport and seeing some more volume, to where on the fresh on this one, it looked really bad. There's no doubt about that. It looked terrible in comparison to the purple, because it was so much earlier, and even the IQ and the pitch black, they were much more controllable in comparison. And we were bowling on house and I could kind of bend the lane a little bit more. The new blue looked amazing just because it's reactive, got through the front, compared to the urethane ones that just wanted to start immediately and plaque. Just very different.
Well, there you have it. Straight from a competitive player's point of view, pretty much aligns with the Specto data. What's really cool is if you go back to the 2.5 minute mark, you'll hear Derek talk about the purple and new blue looking quite similar. But once he got on the sport pattern, you could hear he obviously felt quite a bit different by the end of that video. If you like this type of review, let us know down in the comments what other type of bowling balls you'd like us to do this type of review on. Of course, subscribe if you like anything bowling related, and thanks for watching.